Tips for your hands. Well, I'm going to include the wrist and the forearm this time. They kind of go together. So I've got a ball here, yoga tune-up ball, but you could use any other kind of ball. It does need to have a bit of give in it though. Now I've got blocks here, but say for instance you weren't on a yoga mat and you wanted to do something like this, it's very easy to do at your desk or at your kitchen table, for instance. So I'm going to place the hand on top of the ball. Now my second hand is going to clasp over the top, and from there I'm just going to move backwards and forwards to sense what's going on in the hands. Now I can really feel this today because I was doing some gardening at the weekend, and I always find using bits of equipment, I've only got small hands, you see, using bits of equipment, it does kind of give me a bit of tension afterwards. That feels lovely, going backwards and forwards. Now when you actually locate where the main tension is or where the main sensation is, if you stay there, instead of rolling over and back, stay on it. Do a smaller movement. And you might find before too long that tension goes. Now I'm going to take this up into the forearm. So just like the hand, we're going to create a down pressure, but I'm going to do that with my other hand, and I'm just rolling backwards and forwards. Now I've started more towards the elbow because I know that's where my tension is because of the action of what I was doing, and that feels lovely all the way down to the fingers. So this is partly giving the muscles a massage, but it's also a fascia release. And it's a lovely way to release tension out of the body. Okay, so say for instance you weren't on a yoga mat, you are not at your desk, you're not at your kitchen table, and that you don't even have a ball. What could you do? Now this is when we can start to get creative and use many things around us as yoga props. Today I'm going to use the wall. Stay with the forearms. I'll come to the wrists and the hands in a moment. So with your palm flat, just pressing against a wall at shoulder height, and that's a really nice stretch. But if you want it to be a little bit more intense, but still within your boundary of comfort, you can just keep spinning the fingers around until perhaps you come to a point of having the fingers pointing down. We could also use the ground, turning the palms of the hand down towards the floor with the fingers pointing behind you. Taking the wrists towards the ground. Now, for some people, this can feel quite intense, and we need to perhaps use something to give a little bit of a lift in the wrist. A book is an excellent prop. Obviously, they come in many sizes, so they're perfect. But actually, let me tell you about this book. It's called Living Your Yoga, and it's by Judith Lassiter, my restorative yoga teacher, and I highly recommend it. It's a really good read. Okay, so using a prop like this book, like I said, if I need to have a little bit of a lift, then I'm just going to pop that underneath the wrist end, not the finger end of my hand, and it's just enough to keep me within that range of comfort for the stretch, but to also explore a little bit by sliding it out until perhaps I don't need it. Now onto the wrists and then onto the hands and the fingers. You might be more familiar with this because because some teachers teach it in a regular class. And it's just where we're rolling through the wrists. And it is, you know, quite a nice thing to do regularly, depending on what you're doing throughout your day. Going one way and then back the other. It feels nice. I like that. Okay, so coming to the hands on my last little tip for you today, I'm going to take the this hand into the index finger and thumb of my other hand and stretch basically and pull the fingers away and down towards the floor. Now the idea here is to create a nice arch. It would be quite painful to just take the fingertips towards the floor. So clasping one hand into another and then pulling and finding that lovely opening in the palm of the hands, all through the fingers. So you can pull the thumb away as well, that's quite nice. And then I'll do this with the other hand. There we go. Stretching. Remember, creating the arch. Nice. I hope you enjoyed my tips. I'll be back next month and it will be the spine. So if anybody has any requests, I'd love to hear from you because I can incorporate them in the video. Until then, everybody, be well and I'll see you soon. Bye.